Today's video is brought to us by Ritual. More on them later. Our lessons in elegance continue as we explore how right conditions are essential for good dining. Hello everyone, Jennifer L. Scott here, and welcome back to the Daily Connoisseur. I took some time off this summer because my dad had an accident this summer, and I have been with him every step of the way in his healing process. And to be honest with you, I haven't felt like filming videos, but my dad is my biggest fan and he wants me to continue with YouTube, and I want to continue as well. So Dad, this video and every video I do is for you. All right, let's jump right in to today's topic, which is something that I've wanted to talk to you about for a very long time. So today we're talking about eating, and we spend a huge majority of our lives eating. And that's why the right conditions when we do eat are really essential. It's not something we think about that much in our modern day culture. There is a study from the US Department of Agriculture that took place in 2006 to 2008, so you can even imagine how much things have changed since then. But it studied Americans age 15 or older, and we spend 67 minutes a day in primary eating and drinking. That's focusing mainly on eating and drinking, so I would call that sitting down to a meal. So that's how many minutes a day. An additional 23.5 minutes are spent eating while doing something else considered primary. So this is where we enter into the territory of what I call mindless eating. So a lot of that would be watching television while you're eating or doing something else. Maybe you're on the computer while you're eating. And an additional 63 minutes were spent drinking beverages while doing something else. So apparently we like to sip beverages while also doing something else. So here's what I take from this study, that unfortunately the act of eating, whether in meal times or doing something outside of it, has become a mindless activity for many Americans. We're not really thinking about it while we eat. We kind of eat all day long. Sometimes we're doing other things. So I think it's really important to be brought back to the culture of eating in an elegant way, in a proper way, because this not only helps you with weight management, but it helps you with your overall mental well-being, with your health, and it helps you to be an elegant person. So the first condition that we have to consider when we're eating is our atmosphere. Where you eat is very important. Try to avoid eating in a messy room or a chaotic environment. Sometimes it's unavoidable and the kitchen is messy from the meal that was just cooked. If this is the case, consider dining outside. So my favorite thing to do is to dine al fresco. I love dining outside. I will go outside at every opportunity. And when I'm with my family, sometimes I ask, I'm going to be having my dinner outside. Who wants to join me? Sometimes they all join me. Sometimes only one person joins me. But I love eating outside. And that's because I'm very sensitive to my surroundings. And when I'm surrounded by nature, I am at my happiest. So whenever I can, I like to dine outside. If I'm sitting in the kitchen and I know that there's a big mess behind me, the dishes need to be done, I made a big mess while cooking, I can't really enjoy my meal as much. So that's why I like having meals in the dining room or sitting outside. So consider your environment. If you can't control the mess around you, consider having your meal somewhere else. Oftentimes you can't go outside. Let's say it's the middle of winter, or maybe it's too hot or the conditions aren't right and you can't go outside. Well, what can you do to adjust the atmosphere so that it is pleasant for you to have your meal? Now, a main thing for me is getting clutter off the table. So don't have your meal while you're sitting next to your children's homework books, or to unpaid bills, or to things that don't belong on the dining room table. That all needs to go. The table itself needs to be clear. We're going to talk about setting the table later on. But if you could clear the table and your immediate surroundings so that your view is nice and pleasant, that helps. Also, turn off the TV, maybe put on some peaceful music, or open a window, light a candle. Do what you can to make your atmosphere more pleasant. The second consideration toward creating right conditions for eating is noticing how you are feeling. So, have you ever, and I'm sure the answer for everyone is yes, have you ever eaten while you were upset? And whether or not you're having feelings of anger or sadness or loneliness or frustration or bitterness or any kind of negative emotions, when you eat, you know you cannot enjoy your food, you're not focused, and it's a very unpleasant experience. I have a book by Tim Gunn called Quality, Taste, and Style, and I really love Tim Gunn. And it's a great book, but I remember this one anecdote from his book that has always stuck with me. And it detailed how he had a meal with a family member where he was feeling upset and they were arguing. And he said he would never do that again. He would never eat at the same time that he was upset. And that always stuck with me. If you are not in an emotionally stable place, avoid having your meal until you're able to calm down. Now, I've been going through this lately because in our family, we've been very upset with various personal things that have been happening in our family. And so I often feel deep feelings of sadness wash over me. And so I do process those feelings. I try to wait till those feelings pass before I sit down, and I try to sit down from a place of peace and gratitude when I'm having my meals. That helps me tremendously. Because if you're sitting there and you're sad, you're upset, or let's say you're angry and fighting with someone, or you're having a dining companion that is not very amenable, it is really not good to be ingesting food while you're also processing these difficult emotions. So for me, I like to really clear my emotions, work through my emotions before I sit down to eat. And this is really a big one. It's not something tangible that you can put your finger on. It's really internal. It's how you feel. And I know a lot of people, when I do my intermittent fasting videos, they say to me, Jennifer, I have emotional eating. I eat when I'm upset. So I'm kind of the opposite. When I'm upset, I cannot eat. I cannot do two things at once. I need to process those upset feelings before I try to nourish my body. And that's what we're trying to do when we eat. We are trying to nourish our body. So pay attention to your feelings, see how you're doing. That is a really critical element. And it's something I'll never forget from Tim Gunn's book. I'm going to break away for half a minute to tell you about Ritual Vitamins, who have kindly brought us today's video. You know, I have been using their Women's 18 Plus multivitamin for over 2 years. I love their vitamins. Their vitamins contain high quality nutrients from D3 to omega-3 that are difficult to get enough of every day, even with a healthy diet. They're gentle on your stomach, and they have a delayed release capsule design. I love that they come with a mint essence tab in the bottle that makes them very pleasant to take. Ritual also just released a daily 3-in-1 prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic supplement called Symbiotic Plus, designed to support gut, digestive, and immune health. Each capsule is designed with a delayed release technology to help reach your colon, not your stomach, and each biotic has a clinical study matched to the dose. Ritual is giving the Daily Connoisseur audience 20% off your first month when you use my link and my code DAILYC20 down below. Thank you so much to Ritual for bringing us today's video. The third condition we want to consider when we're eating is tranquility. I keep talking about peace, and there is a reason why. We want peace and tranquility while we are eating. We are ingesting things into our bodies for the purposes of nourishment and satiety, and a calm and tranquil atmosphere is key to this. One of the mottos of the Daily Connoisseur is keep calm and remain classy. And that is what I want you to keep in mind when you are trying to cultivate tranquility in your environment. Let's say you are dining in an environment that you can't control. So let's say you're dining at someone else's house, or you're outside or at a restaurant or in a chaotic place, and you can't control the tranquility. It's important that you still maintain your own inner peace when you are dining. So I have a few affirmations that you can replay in your mind when you're in these situations. These are all calming phrases that you can repeat in your mind to take you back to a place of peace and tranquility. The number one phrase that I love to say all the time is, none of these things move me. So if you are dining, let's say you're at a big family gathering and it's stressful and maybe there's some tension and you're just having a little bit of a panicky situation, you could think, none of these things move me. And just keep thinking that until it's true. Another one I like, of course, is to keep calm and remain classy, the motto that we have at the Daily Connoisseur. You can think of me, you can think of this community. Keep calm and remain classy. When you think that, you're going to bring a smile to your lips too. Another favorite that I like to repeat in my head if things are really bad is be still and know that I am God. That's one of my favorite ones. Be still and know that I am God. When I have that in my head, that produces an instant feeling of peace and tranquility. And you can come up with your own. Whatever resonates for you is what's going to click, but you need inner peace. And sometimes if you're in a chaotic environment and you can't control that, try to get to that place of inner peace while you're having your meal, and it really does work. The fourth element for right conditions in eating is, of course, presentation. So how your food is presented is critical, both on the plate and also how the table is presented. I recently did a video before I went to England on food presentation, and I will leave that video in the iCard up above. But that video shows several tricks with how you can plate your food beautifully. You don't need to do really fancy Michelin star style plating techniques, but just pay attention to how your food is on the plate. This is going to increase the pleasure of your overall experience. Also pay attention to how the table looks. We mentioned the atmosphere, not having clutter on the table. If your dining room table is cluttered with books and odds and ends, don't kind of shove it to one side and put your plate down to eat. Make sure that it's clear. This clears the way to having a pleasant dining experience. So pay attention to clutter on the table, but not only that, take it a step further and care how you present your meals. So you might like to use placemats. You might love tablecloths. You might like to use cloth napkins or do something special to decorate the table. This doesn't have to take time. In fact, I'm a huge advocate for this. I have many videos on tablecloths and table linens, and it takes no time at all. I mean, barely any time. I don't even think about it. I really enjoy the process of dressing the table. And when you do this, you become accustomed to it. When the table isn't dressed, when you're not eating on your best plates, when your food isn't presented nicely, you notice it. And so when it is beautiful like that, it helps to work together with all the other components to make your dining situation enjoyable. Final component I want you to consider is to remain present. We want to remain in the present moment while we're eating. Now, looking back to the study that I shared with you at the beginning of the video, it seems that we spend a lot of our time eating while doing something else primary. That's not being in the present moment, that's doing two things at once. So you might be watching television or trying to pay your bills or maybe texting people while you're trying to eat. So you can't do both at the same time. One of them is going to take precedence, and usually eating takes the back seat. You're just kind of mindlessly having your food while doing something else. When you are present, you are there, you're sitting with good posture, you're noticing the food, appreciating the atmosphere, you're able to dine in a more calm and pleasant environment. So we want to be present. We want to be in the present moment. Everything else can wait while you're having your meal. Now, the only exception to this is if you are in a very unpleasant situation while you're having your meal. And in this case, I give you permission to daydream and you can mentally escape to somewhere else. And I have done this as well. If you are not happy where you are, you can maintain that inner calm, do those affirmations I shared with you, and in your mind, I do this all the time, not ashamed to say it, but I will pretend that I am dining on the French Riviera. Pretend you're on a cruise, having a wonderful meal. Pretend this or that. And sometimes that mental escapism is totally necessary. But that's my only exception. In general, you want to be present while you're having your meals. And when you're in the present moment, that is going to calm yourself down. Don't worry about your to-do list. You know, I know a lot of moms will have their meals after the kids get up and you just kind of pick a few things off their plate and eat while you're cleaning the kitchen. Don't do that. You deserve so much better than that. You are a whole person who deserves to sit down to a nice meal. And that's what you would want for your children. You wouldn't want them doing that. So I want you to give yourself what you would want for your children. I hope that this video gave you a lot of food for thought. I really feel passionately about this subject. I think we spend a lot of our time eating, and how we do it really needs to be analyzed. I'd like to thank Ritual Vitamins for bringing us today's video. Don't forget to use my link and my code DAILYC20 down below, and they are going to give the Daily Connoisseur audience 20% off your first month. Keep calm and remain classy, everyone, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye.
you.